I'm Brent Leary.
Paul Greenberg.
Last week when I tried that, you didn't say Paul Greenberg.
I wasn't there.
It threw me off a little bit because I'm so used to saying, my name and then hearing you say your name. I literally waited a couple of seconds and then I said my name again and you didn't say your name. So it took me a little bit, but I finally got past it. But I'm kind of glad that you're back now so I don't feel so confused. So I can officially say we are the CRM Playaz.
Yes, we are. Thank God.
Well, glad that you're back. I missed you last week. So we didn't do a Playaz. I had to make it a few good minutes.
Yeah, it was a good show. I watched it actually. So how great my vacation must have been.
That's funny because I think Don said something to that effect. Like,
yeah, he did.
I
saw that too.
Well, we can continue on with the show because now, sponsored by nobody as of yet, but who knows? It is the moment of Sven. Grody to the max? Is that what you Grody?
Groet and Veer and Vermelite Dunderdog met open vinde Dutch. Yeah, or some derivative, but Dutch is what I'll say for now.
It sounds there's a lot of K's and
V's and
I'll go up, but I just saw Grody. Remember that back in the 80s?
Grody to the max. Yeah. He's Grody to the max.
I'm guessing that's not what we're dealing with here.
No.
In the meantime, before Spin gives us the official language, hey, Sahil.
Sahil, how you doing, buddy?
Good to hear from you. Oh, look, you it was wrong.
Afrikaans, which is a derivative of Dutch.
Oh, well, that makes sense. So you were kind of. Do you want to take partial credit for that?
Yes, I think so. A derivative of Dutch. That's what I said. It's Dutch or a derivative.
Sahil is backing you up.
So. Thank you, Sahil, my buddy, my friend.
Well, all right. So we'll count that as a yes. You got it right.
Partial. Well, give it a partial win. I'm glad to hear it.
Yes,
he's good.
Well, we'll give it up because it is a derivative. And if I recall correctly, well, I didn't do really good in derivatives. I think I had to take that in college.
Was that math?
It was some form of math, I think.
Oh, God.
Like, remember discrete math? Did you ever have to take that in college?
I didn't take any math in college unless you know what I took? I took astronomy for poets. That's what I took.
Astronomy for poets.
Yeah, these are classes: physics for poets, astronomy for poets. These are classes designed for people who have no mathematical skills, who want to still have to meet some sort of, liberal arts criteria.
I took music appreciation. Yeah, it was great because they played you some music. I said, I appreciate that.
That is really good.
I literally got an A.
Right. That is really good stuff. Wow, you are so insightful.
It was awesome. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we did have a guest lined up. Actually, you could almost say it's almost sort of like two guests in one, because after this week, Oracle had their Analyst Summit, the first one they've had in years. And I'm actually just getting back from there. And a lot of our buddies were there. Of course, Rebecca Wetterman, who is a play in residence, she was there. But I was a little bit disappointed that Patrick wasn't there.
What?
I know. But I will say this. Rebecca's husband, he made sure to send fresh pictures of Patrick throughout the couple of days. So
David, he's good about that. He's really good about that.
He was very good because it was like new pictures of Patrick looking like, please come home, mommy kind of looks on her.
Oh, that forlorn kind of.
The forlorn Patrick look.
Yeah, that's the dog's look designed immediately to book an emergency flight home.
Yeah, like, don't you want me anymore? That kind of look.
Yeah.
And it was working on her. I could see Rebecca was like looking that she could get the quicker way home. So, but so it was a good event.
What happened? I wasn't there. What happened?
Well, I think they had about 60 analysts, and it was covering, all of their different application types and verticals and packages. It was really interesting. And in addition to Rebecca being there, also Brian Summers was there, and Bob Thomas. It was cool I actually got a chance to spend some time with
Bob
him.
Evans?
Oh, excuse me, Bob Evans. Why am I saying Bob? You know who Bob?
Rob
Bob
Thomas.
the guy, the founder of Wendy's? I don't know.
That was Rob. That was Bob somebody.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it was Bob Evans. You know what? Every time anybody with that name, I think of like Down on the Farm.
I think of Dale Evans.
Who's
Roy Rogers? Roy Rogers and Dale Evans.
Oh, Dale Evans. Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, no, we had a good chance to talk, Bob. We talked a lot of football. You know where he's from?
No,
he's Pittsburgh, so he's a big Steelers fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and as we were talking about football, Rob Pinkerton walked up, and he's a
Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland.
So immediately, I was trying to instigate, a little Cleveland Pittsburgh hate.
I was about to say interdivision rivalry.
Yeah. So, but anyway, no, it was of course, there's a lot of discussion around AI and Oracle with they have every form of technology underneath their umbrella. So they were, and some of the stuff that they talked about is NDA, but the reach that they have and all the different applications and industries, and they play back in front office. Of course they've got tech, so they're going to have a really interesting impact when it comes to how all this AI and the multiple forms of AI. It's not just generative. It's there's lots of stuff that was before that, of course, and the large language models and all that. They're going to be really interesting to watch when it comes to that, and how all the different kinds of applications and the data that gets generated comes together, and they're able to leverage that. Remember how when they rolled out Unity, and at first everybody was trying to kind of pigeonhole it as a traditional CDP, just a marketing thing, and we were all like saying, are you kidding? They got all these different applications, ERP, HCM, CRM, CX. So it's way more than that. And I think that same thing is going to be able to be said about how they'll be able to leverage all these, large language models, and how they kind of position it, not just generally, but within industries that they're focused on. And I think it's really going to be interesting. Yeah.
Well, interesting. The company that actually pigeonholed the Oracle the most was Oracle when it came to the CDP. They were the ones who kept calling it the CDP for marketing purposes. And I think you, me, a few others really were pushing them to understand that Unity they understood it. But Unity was a lot bigger than just a CDP. And it's going to be interesting if they can do that with AI. I've been tweaking my thinking a bit on AI the last few days, not changing it, but tweaking it. I've been trying to figure it out. And I realized, if you view, and this actually got a little better tweaked. just before we got on, I had a conversation with our buddy Scott Beachuk, who is a partner at Northwest Ventures. For those of you, Northwest Ventures, for those who don't know him, he's been on our show before, and and would love to come on again, by the way. Here's the interesting thing. I think if you start, and this goes for especially with generative AI, but generally with AI, if you start from the standpoint of service dominant logic and jobs to be done, you start there before you even think about AI. Meaning, as a company, as a customer of a company, I have something I need to do, and I am choosing your company to help me do that. All right. Then you start looking at AI from the perspective of helping a customer, in a manner of speaking. It doesn't have to only be a customer, but a customer do the job that they're trying to do. And then you look at it from the standpoint of how, given that companies have human beings and those human beings get involved with helping those customers do the job they have to do, how does the AI support that? Then you start seeing the value of generative AI, of all AI, really. If you view it from the standpoint of accomplishing that job, it's why, I've discussed this before, why Microsoft and Adobe apparently are choosing Copilot as the way they're identifying things. As much as that might be marketing terms, the reality is they're accurate ones, right? And I think as long as you keep the perspective that ultimately it's the jobs to be done and the use cases around that matter, then generative AI becomes something that will have dramatic impact on not just the business world, but on the world in general. If you start viewing it from the standpoint most people are viewing it from, which is they're starting with the AI, then you're basically dealing with, a cute robot, right? Who basically is doing cool things that you're going, oh, wow, that is so cool. But it's not really, it's still a toy at that point. And I think there's still a ton of that out there.
Yeah.
But the more it keeps focused around the customer, the jobs to be done, the humans, and then building the co-pilot aspect around that, I think you then begin to see the future where things would be dramatically changed. Because one way or the other, it's here to stay, and that much, not like Clubhouse, which went away, but it's pretty much here to stay.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why we were excited to have our buddy Jeff Wartgow come on, because one of the breakout sessions at the analyst event was CX focused, and we had that was headed up by Rob Pinkerton, and man, I know her last name is Katrina Gosick.
Katrina.
And they did like a really great job. I mean, they actually made it fun. And part of that breakout was Jeff Wartgow coming at it from a services perspective. That's where he's the VP of program, product management for CX service. So we were really excited to have him on, but there was a scheduling conflict that came up. So we're gonna have to reschedule. We're gonna have to have those. Maybe we'll get one or two or all of them on because they're great. But because we thought we were gonna have Jeff to join us, I came with a prop.
I think I know.
So I'm still gonna play the prop because if he ever runs for president, he's gonna have to remember this.
Oh yeah, before you start, Fiona, Clubhouse hasn't gone away. It's become, let's call it, a sideshow.
Actually, Fiona, first of all, thanks for joining us. And secondly, ask Sven. He is a big proponent of Clubhouse.
He loves Clubhouse.
So you should talk to Sven about, learning more and seeing where Clubhouse is.
It's marginal.
He'll love that. Oh, Mr. Berkson, I thought you'd be too busy celebrating Aaron Rodgers and the Knicks.
Oh God, the Knicks I'm celebrating, and I'm happy for the Jets. I can't say I'm celebrating it, but I'm happy for the Jets, although I think it's getting overhyped by a lot. He is 40.
Yeah,
thank you.
He is 40.
Yeah.
All right, now, since we can't have Jeff with us, we can go back into the CRM Playaz archives,
the vaults,
for one of the highlights of the 14-year history of CRM Playaz. Here, just a piece of this. Can't play it all. Here's a piece.
You ready, Steve?
Oh, no. Wow.
Well, hey, Steve. I'm a little bit nervous because we're on this Playaz to talk about customer service.
Oh, this is
Chat,
so bad
messaging,
already.
video
I am
chat, the
cringing
works.
now.
This is
I
going to be
can
the
barely
age of
keep my head
enthusiasts,
up.
and you better say something, not be a jerk.
Oh.
Rhymes with works.
Woo! He rhymed. But did you know that the
It's-
future of service
I love
is no
Steve with the
service?
hand
Because
gestures,
we are the automation nation.
but no rhyme skills.
That's true. The future of service is no service, but it doesn't mean that we aren't going to
Brent,
talk to
mercy
people.
kill it again.
There's a
have to
little
mercy
break
kill this again.
which is good. I meant for that to happen because I didn't have a rhyme.
It's
with you.
coming.
What we'll do is going to be incredibly different. Enthusiasts
Look at
will
this.
talk, they'll build
What is this?
relationships.
I
All the
know.
drug will be automated by the spaceships.
Ay, ay, ay.
That's where I had to like.
First of all, Steve,
He's breaking
I
out
think you and I are
spaceship.
getting closer now because that was probably the worst thing I've ever done, and you were here to witness.
Yeah, that was probably definitely the worst thing that he's ever done.
There's no question. The worst thing both of them have ever done. My entire role in that, by the way, was laughing my ass off camera.
Oh, I mean, well, I was looking for
was
the towel to
horrible.
throw in. It was brutal.
It was probably you should tell them what that actually was.
Okay, so first of all, we can't even take credit for that idea. That's probably a good thing. The idea of Oracle executive rap battle came from the, shall we say, very interesting mind of Kim Guion,
Yes, she definitely has that.
who is our buddy and our go-to person for all the things that we do with Oracle. And so she came up with the idea of having Steve Fioretti and Jeff Wartgow do a rap battle. And of course, none of them have ever rapped before in their lives. I don't even think they rap gifts, let alone anything else. It was interesting, but I had to kill that. That was only about we were expecting them to do a couple of minutes. We couldn't let it go that far. So it was it was a mercy killing.
Okay, and to make it even more poignantly ironic, what was the name of the track that they were rapping to?
Yeah, the track was "You're a Customer" by the group EPMD, and if you notice the little riff, that was Steve Miller Band. Time keeps on slipping. What's the name of that
Right.
song?
I don't remember,
the
but I
name.
know the song. Time keeps on slipping.
Into the future. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's a
So-
great song.
So yeah, well, I had to slip the time of that rap battle into the past because
That's
it
as
was
quickly as
that brutal.
possible.
It was a brutal thing.
But it
anyway,
was memorialized.
it's all yeah. You can see the full thing if you really are up to that. You can definitely go to the CRM Playaz YouTube channel and check that out if you haven't eaten and your stomach is in good shape. All right, but anyway, hopefully we will have maybe we'll get Katrina, Rob, and Jeff because you weren't there. You weren't able to make it, but it was great. And the reason why you weren't able to make it is because you are just getting back from the cruise. So tell folks a little bit about the cruise.
Oh, it was amazing.
Fly like
Luckily,
an
I
eagle. All right, thank you,
That's
Michael.
it. Thank you, sir. Fly like
Should have known that was the name of it.
into the future. Michael Klein, another great.
Yeah.
Oh,
We got to give credit to Alan. Alan did say it as well. So, Alan,
okay. Both
get
of you guys.
credit there, Alan.
So I was on a cruise on Celebrity Cruise Lines with my brother and sister-in-law. My wife and I were on there. We lived it up. The food was off the charts. However, the ports were. It was a Caribbean cruise with 7 nights. The ship was, it's those of you who know the cruising is Celebrity is kind of mid-level luxury line, and their partner chef is Daniel Boulou, and Daniel Boulou's an Uber chef, and he's one of the literally the favorite food we've ever had. Not our favorite restaurant, but the favorite food is at this restaurant called Restaurant Daniel in New York, which is his flagship restaurant. We've eaten there multiple times. The Love Boat.
Was Captain
Take my
Stubby.
word for it. It was literally nothing like that. Let's put it this way. One thing about that cruise, there's 3,000 people on this cruise. One thing about that cruise, Yvonne and I looked at the people on the cruise and thought we were among the younger people there. Okay, so
That's pretty interesting.
yeah. it was a bit on the holy crap side, right? So the thing was, I will tell you this: I had this momentary distraction. I had a millennial moment. I was walking on the 15th floor deck, and I was looking at my phone, and I didn't see a chair that was in my way because I was looking at my phone. Didn't lift my head. Went flying. Bam!
Ouch.
Ended up with a cast on my wrist. It was just a contusion. And right now my knee is still sore. My elbow is still sore. But it could have been worse. On the other hand, without that, regardless of that, the trip was amazing. And the food was just holy crap off the charts. I actually weighed myself. I only gained a pound though, so I'm okay.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
No, it was not.
Well,
Not
except
at
for the
all.
ball part, but
Given how much we ate, definitely was not a bad thing.
wow. All right. Well, that's cool. I'm just glad that everything worked out because, I had thoughts of somebody catching a weird virus and it spreads throughout the whole boat. And nobody can get
That
off.
would never happen.
No, that's never happened before. So
No. Well, I'll tell you what they did do, and this is interesting I think it's general. They really upped the both numbers and quality of the medical staff on board. I mean, they even had, for example, when I hurt my wrist on that fall, they even had an x-ray technician with a portable x-ray machine.
damn.
I mean, literally, that was his only job, was to be an x-ray technician. They had probably 10, 12 medical staff.
Well, if you were saying that you and YG were on the younger side,
Yeah.
I can see where they'd probably want to have a significant number of on hand.
I don't know if we really were. I think we just look younger than most of them.
Well, that's good too. Well, that's cool. All right. Want to plug a couple of things that are coming up for us. I'm gonna put it up and I'm gonna let you go.
All right.
We're heading to Austin, Texas next week.
All right. This is the no-brainer conference of the year for us because of you all know that we were in India a few weeks ago. We blew our minds with what was going on with Zoho's culture, and the company just utterly devoted to public service. As Sandy Lowe, who is, of course, their genius corporate communications lead there, she basically said, this is the reunion we're going to do the reunion there. But this is also the conference. It's the user conference in the U.S. Sold out is not an unusual thing for Zoho. They have a devoted community of customers, and it's really devoted. It's not, well, no, it is at the level of like fanboy, fangirl kind of devotion. And every conference that ever will hold, and they hold a lot of them, will be sold out at this point. And one of the interesting things about this conference is not really specific to Zoho, but will be the appearance in the analyst track of the one and only Bob Stutz. He's literally going to be there, right? Which is the first time he's ever appeared.
Are you sure? So that's no BS that he's going to be there?
Yeah, I'm not even going to respond to that. Why? No point. No, there's really no point in responding to that one. So, Bob's going to actually be there as an analyst, which, if you think about what he's been doing lately, that's pretty much what he's doing. So, even though he would deny it up and down.
Yeah,
so,
hopefully, we're still working on things. We'll be doing some live streaming. I know we're going to be doing some conversation. One I'm looking forward to, of course, with Raju Vigesna, who his official title is Chief Evangelist. He's probably like Chief Everything.
Yeah,
he has a lot of sway of what goes on. So we're going to spend some time with him, and hopefully there'll be some other stuff going on. Maybe like a mini No BS with Bob. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll see. We're gonna be playing. We'll be there. We'll be ready to roll.
And that'll lead into this is going to be cool. We're setting up residency for the week. We're coming to
yeah. Now, what's the hotel? What hotel are we at with Pega?
all right. So Pega is MGM.
Okay, and then Okay, Pega's NGM. So interestingly, and we'll get to the why it extends that long. Interestingly, we will be there. I don't know, how do I describe this without revealing the second part of this?
I don't know.
I guess I'll have to reveal the second part of it. We're actually there, and we are hired guns in part at both Pega World Inspire and at Verint Engage, which literally piggybacks directly onto this. We'll fly in, we will be at MGM, and then we'll move over to the Bellagio with two hotels we don't ordinarily stay at, because it's typically the Palazzo or the Venetian. And then we leave and fly out on the 15th. And we'll be doing some streaming from Pega, quite a bit, and quite a bit of streaming from Verint, right? Very different forms in how we're doing it. But we'll keep the surprise a surprise. It's going to be great. And, maybe if time permits and equipment works, we'll throw in a watch party or two, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see when we get there, but we're really looking forward to this. And it's like piggyback. It's perfect. It's like analyst dream, right? Only get care of two
Really?
conferences in one shot.
That's what we dream of?
No. I dream of, what is it? I dream of Electric Sheep.
Genie?
That's
Maybe Genie.
the Ray Bradbury novel.
No, you dream of Genie, right?
I dream of Jeannie. Oh, I used to love Barbara Eden. I had such a crush on her when I was a kid.
Yeah, and when we actually get like firm dates and times, we'll let you know. But it's cool. I mean, it just so happened to work out that these great conferences are, in the same city at the same time, and they've been very great for us to be able to kind of let us coordinate, pulling this off. So big shout out to all of our buddies at Pega and at the Verint,
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, and it's kind of a unique experiment in the way we're piggybacking it too. So we'll see what happens.
Isn't that like pretty much what this whole PPN thing is? All a
unique experiment or a piggyback?
Well, maybe that too.
Yeah, it is.
It is kind of, but it's a fun one. And you know what else is fun?
No, what?
Yeah, well, let's see how I pull this off.
Wow, what a segue.
You know what time it is?
No, I'm not going to say it because that would be
Please
something
don't say
from the
howdy
50s.
doody.
I literally was going to go there. And you said it.
Yeah, I'm glad that I stopped you.
But you actually said it.
It is Stump. I always have to make sure I pronunciate that. Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot, and a little more about that.
Dynamics 365 Copilot. AI-powered assistance to get more done with less effort. The world's first AI Copilot in both CRM and ERP.
Big shout out to Microsoft for sponsoring Stump the Godfather. Although some people try to say another word with that,
Stamp. Stamp the Godfather?
No. It rhymes with stomp.
Pump the Godfather.
Anyway, we're glad to have Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot, which means that we actually have AI sponsoring us.
Oh God Almighty! Can't get away from it.
You really can't, but you can't get away from the question. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, look at that. Look at Anand.
Well, Anand's literally the nicest person in the world. So,
well,
you have to take this with a grain of salt. He's so kind and nice.
Play it in Residence.
Yes, he is, and the nicest person in the world.
And Fiona is giving you a hug.
And the other nicest person in the world. There we have both of them on this show.
Yeah, but she's just saying a hug. Who is
enough.
That for? Is it
for both of us?
For us?
It's a wide hug coming in this way. Comes in this way.
All right, so here we go. here we go. Here is the question. All right. So this is the NBA playoffs. The Knicks are in the second round of the NBA playoffs.
Yeah. Best season since 1994, man.
The
Most
Knicks,
exciting season.
they actually have home court advantage for this next round against the Miami Heat, which is like
I am telling you something, man. This this team. Look, Julius Randle she meant Godfather. She says that later.
Grandfather.
Keep going. Keep going.
I kind of like that.
There we go.
Oh, Fiona, that made my day. Look at Alan. All right, the Knicks.
Yeah, baby. I watched last night. It was awesome. I mean, they have just been spectacular this year.
Yeah, so I thought, my Dubs are still, trying to get past the Sacramento Kings. How about the Lakers? So anyway,
It's been good, very good playoffs all the way around. Really,
all the way around.
Playoffs.
So I figured, the Garden will be rocking. So I guess you should come a knocking. I don't know how that worked anyway. Yeah, I know that was pretty bad. All right,
howdy doody, you should come and knock in. I mean, you're literally a fount of incredibly small.
No, I was against the howdy doody when I tried.
But you actually knew it.
Yeah,
you knew it to say. I literally didn't say I won't go there, and you knew what I would have said.
Well, I was trying to avoid a catastrophe, but apparently I did not do that.
No, you certainly you kind of fostered one.
All right. Anyway, so here is the question for the venerable Paul Greenberg for this segment of Stump the Godfather. All right. The NBA uses Cosmos DB, which I believe is one of those Azure cloud database services. So the NBA uses Cosmos DB to ingest more than blank data points per game, helping teams optimize their gameplay. So the venerable Paul Greenberg, how many data points per game are ingested by this Cosmos DB for all the NBA games?
Per game though.
It's per game.
I don't know. I don't have a clue, but I'll make up a number. And this is literally me just making up a number without any sense of proportion at all. All right. So 10 million.
Okay.
It's probably way more than that.
We'll see. All right. So the official answer from the Godfather in Stump the Godfather is 10 million data points per game generated by the NBA, which uses Cosmos DB to handle all that. So anybody else have any guesses? The Godfather says 10 million. Do I hear 100 million, or do I hear 1 million? Put whatever guesses you have for
30.
the amount of data points that come in per game, per NBA game that are ingested. But we already have 10 million. Do I hear anything else? Oh, I also need to ask the venerable Godfather, is that your final answer? I always feel like I need to put that in there.
Yeah, I'll leave it as final answer. Since I literally have no idea, I'll leave it as final answer. I have no clue.
Oh, look, for Sven, you do not have to worry. It is off season, and we don't even have a first round pick in the night's draft. So I'm just, living vicariously through Knicks and Jets fans. That just doesn't even sound right, but
no,
it really is the case here. All right, so Sven says 1 million. Wow.
See, now Fiona's, but she's the one who'll know.
Yeah, she's in
that.
Yeah.
And she's in sports. So
all right.
If there's anyone who's going to know, I think Fiona's going to get it right.
All right. So
but
Martin is with you with 10 million, and Johnny is at 15 million. All right. So they're all over the board. So I'm gonna put it out there. And yours is 10 million, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is, look at that.
Whoa.
Look at that. The Godfather came through. That's like a Steph
Wow.
Curry 40-foot swish, what you just did. Or should I say Jalen Brunson at this point?
Or a Wilt Chamberlain foul shot that he hits.
I'm sorry, Michael. You could have said that, but unfortunately for you, it was 10 million right on the head. So the Godfather and Martin also came through. Martin had at 10 million as well. So
wow, good guess.
all right.
That was like completely clueless guess on my part.
Well, hey, a clueless guess is as good as a clue guess.
Full guess. Clueful guess.
All right, that is
I have to say I'm doing better with these as we've gone along. I'm probably at about 50% of them right so far.
Look, Martin is trying to, like, you know, just be happy with the correct guess. Yeah,
well, see, the other side, Martin, it's fill in the blank though. It's not like it's not. I mean, it could be 10,000,001, which would actually make 10,000,001 wrong. Well, a wrong answer because it says more than.
That's true. I mean, I am impressed, but I'm gonna ask you to double down since you got that right.
No,
I'm asking everybody to double down because, you know, all this data is being used in a way that's supposedly hoping to provide more engagement. You know, think about how could you imagine like the NBA players using a co-pilot during the game, like to tell them things about where they should take a shot or how to play a person. That would be kind of fascinating if that could be pulled off.
Probably could. I will tell you this. I'll tell you one data point. There was 17 offensive rebounds for the Knicks last night against 3 for the Cavs.
Check out Martin here. The number drops to 7 million when the NBA teams actually play. I mean, they don't play defense at all in these playoffs.
No,
I mean, it is bad. Yeah, Tom Brady. Yeah, he would, but if he was playing the NBA. All right, I gotta follow up because that one everybody was pretty. You did good. I mean, I want to see if you got this one because it's related. It's a related.
Yeah, but I made that answer up completely, so I have no context whatsoever.
You got a great imagination. So here's part 2. Since you got, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that you got it, but all right. This is also NBA data we're talking about. With nearly blank interactions a day across its various delivery channels, the NBA is a big hit with fans, and the league doesn't take that excitement for granted. All right. So how many daily interactions across the NBA, across all their social channels, are we talking about on a daily basis?
150 million.
All right. 150 million. Anybody else got a guess? Anybody else want to get in on this? These numbers are pretty astronomical, if you ask me, just thinking about it. But so nearly blank interactions a day across its various delivery channels. What does that total up to for the NBA? Wow. Anand is going big. He's going big. Sven, all right, 100 million. Look at Fiona coming in at 900,000. Is it 900,000? Interesting. Okay. Martin is saying it's in the billions. And what did you say again?
150 million.
150 million. All right.
I'm keeping it low deliberately.
10 billion. All right. So Martin's even coming with logic.
But I don't see that. I mean, it could be though.
All right.
I have no logic. Mine was a complete guess. I have no.
All right. I'm going to share the answer since we've got everybody in, I think. So the answer is
10 billion.
10 billion, which is a factor of 10 million. I mean,
well, I'll tell you though, Anand got it on the nose.
He really did. He stepped right into that. Interactions. This is interactions.
Well,
not output.
Okay. Well, that's a good point, but
no, it's interactions.
I treat them the same.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah, I don't think that, like, we're not talking about transactions or anything. We're just talking about, tweets, I guess, posts, video views. I guess it's all of that stuff, which is but well, think about it. 10 billion every day. And you know what? I have to say this too. This was an article from 2021. So that number is probably, especially during the playoffs, it's got to be higher. How friggin' big is the NBA? The NBA is international.
It's also, it's big in the sense of it has an outsized presence.
It does, and their stars are now international, like LeBron, Steph. You know, I don't know, outside of LeBron and Steph, are there others that are truly international?
Well, keep in mind, there's a lot of the answer is yes in a way.
Luka.
So you got
Luka,
but a lot of them are famous in their own countries, which is the other way to look at it too. And there's a ton of people from other countries playing in the NBA. So it's not, the NFL doesn't have a ton of international players. The NBA does.
Yeah,
each one of them. Yeah, and they're going to be minimally popular in their country or their region at minimum.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't take much to be global these days because of how interconnected all these channels are. Because of all these social channels. I mean, what is this? NBA is Alan, stop kissing up the colder ice, please. His head is big enough as it is, and I got to deal with him tomorrow. So let's calm down on that stuff.
God bless you, sir.
So that's, you know what? So you got the first one right. You and Martin got the first one right. I didn't.
Play in residence.
Yeah, we got some smart players in residence.
Yeah, well, there's a perfect example that what was it, 50 points and 10 assists and 10 rebounds or something, a triple double.
What about, and Martin is talking about when Jeremy Lin was playing. What about when Yao Ming was playing? He was like, because he was literally from China and came over.
Well, think about it the other way. I mean, Jeremy Lin is playing in Taiwan now.
Oh, he's still playing?
Yeah, in Taiwan. And 2 days ago or 3 days ago, he actually did a triple-double, 50 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and it made international news.
Get out of town. You know who else?
Yeah.
Dwight Howard's still over there, by the way?
I don't know.
He was supposed to be like a big draw over there, too. But you know what? It's just fascinating how big sports are. And when you combine all the fascination with generative AI and large language models and all these big data sets, I wasn't kidding about how you can kind of see sports being leveraged to use these tools to do some really interesting things beyond the kind of the parlor tricks that are going on. It'll be interesting to see how they apply this stuff. But anyway,
well, and they do. I'll tell you what, they already have, because you have so many statistical and analytics experts on the teams now. There's a lot of additional data that they're pulling in, like, for example, in baseball, there's people looking at, if you look at the MLB app, let's say, you literally within a half second or less of a pitch being thrown, know the speed the pitch was thrown, the type of pitch was thrown, where it was thrown, and the potential trajectory if it was hit, right? And that's within a millisecond, right? And now with all that data being captured now, imagine taking that data, applying AI to it in some way, and what they could essentially do. And it goes, it's why, so there's a lot of the mechanisms for the data are there, right? The mechanisms to capture the data and use the data are there already, right? And now it's just a matter of application, I think, rather than trying to find the store or the means to just get the data. They don't need to worry about that part right now.
Yeah. Okay. So once again, that was Stump the Godfather. And actually, you really weren't stumped on this one. I got to work harder. I got to get some better stuff. But
I was on the second one. I was way off.
Yeah, but that's you got the first one. That was the official Stump the Godfather. I just threw that. That was like extra credit. Stump the Godfather I threw in there. But you came through. So once again, Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics Copilot. We are brought to you by AI, folks.
That's right.
We all better get used to that, being brought to things by things.
Well, the other thing you will be seeing coming soon will be our newest sponsor. We might tell them. They've already done. We just have to work out how it's going to work. ServiceNow. Now, as you may know, they're coming up on May 15th with their conference, but they have also are done, and set. Now we just have to work out some where and whens with ServiceNow as the next sponsor coming in. And we're very excited about that too.
Very cool. And there are some other places you may see us. If they become official, we'll let you know. Because it's pretty cool. We're getting out there again. We're out there being able to do the show, and fortunate enough to have some really great companies welcoming us to be a part of their event. So that's kind of cool.
And the other thing that you will be seeing is a different group of shows, different types of shows coming in the fall, right? We've got a whole bunch of things that we're kind of working on now. The money seems to be there, so we could probably pull it off. The time doesn't seem to be there, but we'll figure that part out. But there's some one of which, well, I'm not going to go into details, but let's just say there's, if I'm being conservative, 3 or 4 different, right now, shows that are concepts to be put into action that are likely to be put into action.
Cool. And also relationships that we have with non-PPN shows. Matter of fact, here is kind of the first little sneak of how that works, because we are very good friends with Steve Gilmore and Tina Gilmore, and of course they have been doing Gilmore Gang for over 2 decades at this point, and I've been a part of the gang for a few years now. And so while that's not a PPN show, we are allowed to kind of do some cool things with sharing a few of the cool pieces from Gilmore Gang shows. And I got a little piece that we'll show you, but it kind of comes, this one is cool because did you see where BuzzFeed was shutting down?
Yeah,
they're shutting down, and all the of course what's going on with Fox, and media landscape is just crazy right now. And luckily for the Gilmore Gang, there's a lot of interest in that area, and there's a lot of experience with guys like Frank Radis. So here is a little clip. We're calling it GG for Gilmore Gang on PPN.
I like reading the information. It's just really good reporting and coverage. It sometimes has opinions, but the opinions are very much borne out by the reporting. The Vox I can't read. I can read TechCrunch. I think it's fairly much reporting, but the more campaigning it is, even if I agree with it, not interesting.
It comes down to marketing and product definition. What is the information? Who is it told to? How is it sold? What's the business model? Then look at Vox. They're both sculpted products meant to attract a certain audience to support a certain business model.
It was more about the way that journalism was done back then versus how it's done today. I don't feel that there is that sort of desire to get out there and cover the story, boots on the ground, get involved in it, get your hands dirty, make the phone calls, do the reporting. There certainly are people out there that are doing that, but who's going to write that story about Fox News other than Brian Stelter?
That's why Substack, even when they're opinionated like Barry Weiss, because they kind of lead with who they are, you almost forgive them their opinion. And as long as they're intelligent, you'll read it even when you disagree with it. That feels like a much better human-centered place to interact and learn than any of the old media, which feel like battlegrounds.
So it's really cool because it starts with the traditional media, and the kind of almost like the traditional online media is starting to break down. And one of the things that is starting that it's breaking down into is to these individuals that worked at these big brands creating their own Substack newsletters. And then Substack is starting to be a place where, people go for real deep content versus, traditional, because traditional started skewing towards, we need to get clicks, we need to get views, we need to figure out ways to monetize this, content, and things that they never thought about having to monetize before is now becoming incredibly important for them to monetize. Whereas these folks that are leaving those kind of channels and creating their own Substacks, they're able to, because they're subscription based and not ad based, they're able to find an audience that is looking for deeper, richer, more thoughtful content. And I love, as you see, I didn't add a whole lot to that. That's kind of like my fallback position on the Gilmore Gang. The only thing that I was probably recognized for is I really needed a shave. I'm glad I shaved because it was really getting brutal. But anyway,
and Dennis had a full beard.
Dennis is looking like the Ernest Hemingway of CRM.
Yes, he is.
But what do you think about what they said?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of, how many years have there been conversations about one way or the other disintermediation or diffusion or distribution, distributed networks and so on and so forth, which ultimately are, let's call it democratizing opportunity, right? So I to the point of Frank and Keith and the others there, I absolutely agree with them because, look, here's the thing. There's 7.5, 8 billion people on this planet now, and most everybody has some opinions on something, and a lot of them are very wise opinions, but what's never existed until now is their ability to present those opinions to audiences that are meaningful. I mean, present their opinions to a friend at a party, but it's not, now you can actually reach audiences. And, we've seen it. You find these superstar, types and influencers who actually made their bones on not pushing for, fashion or product or things like that, but are just intelligent, let's call it broadcasters with strong opinions on things going on around the globe that gain audiences. But you're also finding people, let's say, who have smaller audiences who have opportunity to still get their opinion across to an audience larger than just their immediate circle. And I think that is fantastic because it increases the level of discourse and useful discourse more than likely. And so do I agree? Do I see that? Yeah. And do I think it's more valuable? Yeah, because the other side of it is when you're looking at, look, I watch MSNBC religiously, but they do shit that is just really terrible. I mean, the way they phrase everything deliberately to cast aspersion. It's easy to cast aspersion on Trump. I don't even disagree with it. But for example, they were showing a headline the other day, a series of headlines based on something that happened in November 2022 related to January 6th. And if you looked at the dates and the headlines were all, related to that, theoretically. But then if you looked at one of the headlines, which I caught, it said February 21st. I forget, it was 2021, and it was before anything that could have happened in November 2022. It was February 2021. It was still post January 6th, but that was not related to what they were talking about at all. And they used that to add weight to their point. But and they kept the date extremely small. Things like that. And again, I'm on the, way better than anything I see on the right in Fox News. But at the same time, they're pulling the same kind of crap. And that's the part you see people with opinions, but they don't hide them. They don't twist. These guys are manipulative and twisting. And that's how conventional news has become.
No, I think if you're going to want richer, more thoughtful, deeper content, you're going to have to be willing to pay a subscription for it. Because if you're just going to kind of gate on ad-based content, then you don't really have a say. You're going to be, you're going to be force-fed what these companies think are going to get eyeballs and clicks, and a lot of that stuff is it's just mind-numbing. So if you are looking for more thoughtful, more richer, or deeper content, I think subscriptions are going to be the way to go. So if you want that kind of audience, then you're going to have to, you can't just chat GPT stuff. You're going to have to really dig in. And because if I'm paying for a subscription, like perfect example, I pay like $230 a year for Seeking Alpha. Money well spent. I mean, it's like a deluge of great information. I can't really get anywhere else in a way that they make it very easy to consume. If I was just if you're just kind of stuck with what's going to be ad supported, it's always going to skew to whatever gets the most eyeballs, and that could change, with the clickness. But if you're looking for really deep, thoughtful stuff, and that's why I love how you're seeing some of these individual folks break off and do their own subscription-based service supported by a platform like Substack, because they're able to find a community of folks that want that. It's almost sort of like the patrons back in the Renaissance era. You want Leonardo da Vinci, he had people that patronize him, and that gave him the ability to do the kind of stuff he wanted to do. Because if you don't have that, then you're forced to do the stuff that everybody's trying to do, right. Which we don't want that.
And it's tricky too, though. It is tricky though, because the content creator, so to speak, has to be able to go deep, right? I mean, because a lot of, how would I put it? They have to provide enough to make someone want to pay for a subscription, right? Because when ultimately you're talking about spending money on something, it's still, unless it's food, shelter, etc., it's discretionary income, right? And discretionary funds, and you're going to have to pick and choose what. Like, to your point, you're happy to pay $230 for Seeking Alpha. You might not be so happy to pay, I don't know, $275. I don't know what the price is for Insider Business, because it doesn't give you the depth or the kind of information you want. Or you go even to individual creators on Substack. Most of the ones I follow, I have no interest in paying for. They give me, they're fine and they're interesting to a point, but I don't see them with the potential for the depth. And most of them aren't really providing depth. They're providing additional content. Yeah. Right. Not depth. Right.
Well, yeah. And Anand is pointing out TechCrunch Plus, which I subscribe to that off and on, because there's some good stuff. And of course, one of the folks that are contribute or work there is our buddy Ron Miller. So yeah, what kind of stuff he puts out. But
he has the depth.
He has the depth, and he also has the capacity to put out a lot of stuff, which is incredible.
He sure does.
But I think that you're not. I think that's why traditional media is struggling, because they have to support, kind of this big organization that they put together, which means they have to have scale, which means they need a lot of folks looking at stuff so that they can sell ad spots and stuff like that. Whereas I think you are seeing this shift to the independent creators that can create that kind of thoughtful, deep content that will attract enough subscribers where they're able to do their own thing. And I think, we're only at the tip of the iceberg about how this is all going to play out. But I think, you're seeing a pendulum shift, kind of slightly away from like 100% ads towards some sort of a mix. I mean, this is a little further off than we usually talk about, but I get an email almost every day from Jim Cramer from CNBC trying to get me signed up for his investor club.
I know.
And I'm like, I don't recall that being so heavy-handed in years past, but now it's like
it literally looks like spam now. I mean, it literally is like spam. It is. And look, well, here's the thing. I think obviously the traditional media pressure on them is huge, and they know that, and they're not stupid. I mean, so you look at it, the networks. Look, remember the initial pressure came from cable news or cable TV on network TV, and the network TV guys actually adjusted pretty well on that by basically buying cable stations like MSNBC, CNBC, etc. I mean, they got really smart about it. Really, they just added it to the network and understood the functionally that were different, right? Now what we're seeing, I think, is on the one hand, all conventional broadcasting networks are being challenged. On the other hand, I don't see them going away either. One of the things that strikes me as interesting has been people I know who are, younger typically, but they want to be famous. But to them, fame is not be on a digital network or be on a show on the internet. It's be on NBC, CBS, and ABC. You go back years ago, and when you had these early social media stars, and I would ask them, well, what do you want to do with your life, basically? And it was astonishing how many of them actually said to me, I want to write a book. And I said, why? Because you've got so many people, or you got millions of people following you. He said, yeah, but a book's different. It's different. Again, it's traditional. When I was considering writing CRM to See the Light, I had to consider what kind of publisher I wanted. Did I want a vanity press, because self-publishing didn't even exist then? Or did I want a traditional publisher, or did I want a university publisher, or I want a small indie publisher? And I had to go for traditional because I needed to establish validation in industry. McGraw-Hill didn't know a damn thing about CRM. They really had no they had no way to really validate my knowledge, but they validate my presence, right? And that thread is still here. All these influencers on TikTok, they think it's the coolest thing when they're brought onto broadcast television, right? And it's the same, and you can't ever forget that part of it, because we tend to think one replaces the other. They're going to coexist for a long time because they have different reasons for existence.
Yeah,
now.
but you know what? Who else needs to remember that are those very platforms, because they stand a chance for cheapening it by trying to actually, do what these individual content creators are doing.
Yep.
You're
exactly right.
You take away your complete gravitas when you try to do too much of that.
Yeah, they look like fools. They look like fools. They really do. And it's astonishing when you watch some broadcaster deciding, look, I mean, an anchor who's been on, look, I understand having fun on TV. That's different. But I'm watching these guys deliberately produce TikTok videos where they look ridiculous, right? Right? They just look ridiculous. They don't look like they're cool. They look ridiculous. Yeah. That's when you get up there in age and you want to be younger.
Right. You're trying to hold on.
Yeah.
We promise never to try to hold on. At
promise
that. Anyway, we better let you go, because we actually, that hour flew by and we were basically tap dancing because of the late scheduling conflict. But
this is the only time we're good dancers.
Yeah, for real. But anyway, anything else before we go? We covered a lot of ground. It was kind of fun.
It was great, actually. Let's just say this without saying any details. There were 2 hints in this episode of shows that will probably happen in the fall. But let's say, I'll call them shows. It's not quite strictly that. But 2 things that will happen in the fall to expand the network. And that's all I'm going to say. See if you can figure out what they are.
Is that a stump the audience thing?
Stump the audience.
So we need a new sponsor, I guess, for Stump the Audience.
If you can figure out both of the things, I'll figure out a prize for you. I don't know what it is yet, but I'll figure out a prize. If you send me, or will you send us on PPN at Playaz Productions Network at gmail.com. You send us what you think the 2 things that we're going to expand to in the fall most likely are based on what you saw in this show. And if you get them both right, there will be a prize.
Wow. Can I do that too? I'm trying to figure out. All right. Anyway.
Employees of the station are not eligible.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody. You made this fun. Lots of fun answers and questions and comments. And it's good to see Fiona over on the other side of the pond there and everybody else. And we will see you next week from Austin. Are you bringing your 10-gallon hat and your boots?
No. Nope. Gave it all away already.
Yeah. I still have like nightmares of us in those cowboy hats with Vijay, and
I know.
I promise I will never ever.
We were branded like cows with that one.
Oh, yeah. All right. It's time to end this show.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, in the meantime, we'll see you next week. But until then, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
And of course, you know that's Manny. And we will see you next week from Texas.